a master of manipulation. He lacks conscience, empathy, and fails to distinguish between right and wrong. This is one of the most unsettling villains in cinema, but behind the chaos he unleashes, there is a clear purpose. He seeks to demonstrate something dark about human nature, and often he succeeds. A group of clown-masked robbers storms a bank controlled by the mob. During the heist, they betray and eliminate each other on the orders of their apparent leader. In the end, only one clown remains. The bank manager confronts him, criticizing that criminals used to have honor and respect. The clown removes his mask, revealing himself as the Joker, and responds, "I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger." Then he escapes on a school bus. The mobsters gather to discuss the robbery. Lau, their accountant, mentions that he anticipated a police operation against their money and moved it to a safe place before fleeing to Hong Kong, believing he would be safe there. Suddenly, the Joker bursts into the meeting. The mobsters, especially Gamble, are irritated by the thief's presence but are curious to hear him out. The Joker tells the mobsters that Batman will go after Lau anywhere and offers them a deal. He will eliminate Batman for half of the protected money. Gamble becomes even angrier. The Joker notices and intensifies his provocation, warning that soon Gamble won't have a penny left for his grandmother. When Gamble tries to attack him, the Joker reveals an arsenal of bombs in his coat, paralyzing everyone. Before leaving, he leaves his card in case they decide to take his offer. Later, Gamble puts a bounty on the Joker's head. The Joker cunningly fakes his death and is brought before the mobster, whom he overpowers as he rises. He tells how his alcoholic father gave him his scars after hurting his mother with a knife, and then he finishes off Gamble. The mob hires the Joker, who quickly, through a video, threatens to kill innocent people every day until Batman reveals his identity. Later, Bruce, or Batman, organizes a party to support Harvey, the incorruptible district attorney of Gotham City. During the event, the Joker and his henchmen show up looking for Harvey. Rachel confronts the Joker, who recognizes her as the district attorney's girlfriend. He asks if his scars make her nervous, and forcing her to look at him tells another version of how he got them. He says his wife, as beautiful as Rachel, wanted him to smile more. After accumulating gambling debts, some loan sharks cut up her face. To prove to his wife that the scars didn't matter, he slashed his own mouth with a razor. His wife couldn't take it and left him. Disturbed by the story, Rachel hits the Joker. The Joker believes that human morality is merely superficial and can quickly crumble under enough emotional stress, revealing a selfish and violent nature. He thinks that by manipulating people's emotions, their actions can be controlled. To demonstrate the inherent darkness in human nature, one simply needs to create situations that trigger the right emotions and therefore the desired actions. If you want someone to act selfishly or violently, just plunge them into despair or make them feel threatened. In situations of desperation, anger, or great stress, we lose clarity of thought and react impulsively, guided more by survival instinct than reflection. In this regard, the Joker has a valid point, as resisting these impulses requires considerable willpower and self-control, something few possess. This perspective helps us better understand the Joker's interactions with Gamble and Rachel. He focuses on emotionally manipulating them, exploiting weaknesses like traumas or painful memories to destabilize them and make them lose control. He irritates Gamble with mentions of his grandmother and an alcoholic father, stories that touch him emotionally and lead him to act impulsively, making it easier for the Joker to dominate him. With Rachel, he modifies the scar story to talk about love and loss, causing her to react violently. The Joker knows how to manipulate people and will take these techniques to another level, destabilizing even those who seem unbreakable. No official dares to confront the mob out of fear of the Joker, except for Harvey, who is determined to bring down the criminals. Alfred, Bruce's butler, warns him that people like the Joker are not after money or a reason. They just want to see the world burn. Every day that Batman stays silent, the Joker fulfills his threat and kills. Harvey publicly poses as Batman to lure out the Joker, hoping Batman will intervene. As Harvey predicted, the Joker attacks the police convoy where he's being transported. Batman intervenes and they manage to capture the Joker. Harvey is hailed as a hero, though the victory is short-lived. That night, Harvey doesn't return home, leading Batman to aggressively interrogate the Joker. Batman asks why he wants to kill him, and the Joker responds with laughter. The Joker explains that he doesn't want to kill Batman. He sees himself and Batman as opposites who need each other. He assures Batman that people will abandon him when he's no longer useful, because when things get tough, people will eat each other alive. Tired of listening, Batman grabs the Joker by the throat, demanding to know where Harvey is. Playfully, the Joker dares Batman to break his no-kill rule to find out the truth, claiming that the only sensible way to live is without rules. Then the Joker presents Batman with a cruel game. He has also kidnapped Rachel and gives him minutes to choose between saving Harvey or her, suggesting that choosing is also a form of killing. The Joker's first line upon introducing himself was, "I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger." This is a modification of Nietzsche's famous saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." To me, this variation serves to suggest that the Joker's philosophy is based on Nietzsche's, but with a fundamental deviation. Nietzsche was a precursor of existentialist ideas, arguing that moral values are not inherent but creations of ours to navigate a life that often seems meaningless. A key argument is how moral values change over time. Slavery, once legal and accepted, is now seen as a violation of human rights. Another example is charging interest on loans, which went from being condemned by several religions to becoming a common practice in the global financial system. There are also differences in moral values from one culture to another, such as monogamous marriage in Western societies versus polygamy in some Islamic and African cultures. Some argue against this view, pointing out that despite these variations, certain moral principles like the prohibition of murder, theft, and the valuing of justice and fairness seem to be almost universal. This suggests that while the details of moral values may vary, certain basic principles are consistent and could indicate an intrinsic moral foundation. But the point is that the Joker believes there are no inherent moral values. Up to this point, his philosophy aligns with Nietzsche's, but soon takes a different path. Starting from the idea of a world without pre-established values, Nietzsche conceived the Übermensch, or Superman, as someone who breaks with traditional values to create his own, free from external influences. To a certain extent, the Joker seems to embody this figure of Übermensch, though in an unusual way. According to Nietzsche, the destruction of existing values is not a final goal, but a necessary step to create new values. In contrast, the Joker seems to delight in destruction and chaos itself without showing interest in a subsequent stage of reconstruction. In this sense, the Joker veers toward a strange type of Übermensch, aligning perfectly with his version of Nietzsche's phrase. He leans more toward purely destructive nihilism, moving away from the type of nihilism that is overcome through the creation of new values. Batman rushes to where he believes Rachel is, while Gordon and his team try to rescue Harvey. Both are tied up and surrounded by barrels of gasoline, with a bomb about to go off. Upon arrival, Batman realizes he has been tricked by the Joker and that he is with Harvey. Although he manages to save him, the explosion disfigures half of Harvey's face. Meanwhile, Gordon arrives too late, and Rachel dies in another explosion. At the same time, at the police station, the Joker provokes a guard and takes control of the situation. He activates an explosive he had previously implanted in another prisoner, causing an explosion that facilitates his escape in a police car, taking the accountant Lau with him. His capture had been planned. The Joker sticks his head out of the car window, like a dog enjoying the breeze. The figure of the dog is a recurring motif, and I will soon explain its significance. The Joker, having captured Lau, recovers the mob's money. In front of a surprised mobster, he burns his share of the money, saying he's not interested in it. He then tells the mobster that his men now obey him. The mobster responds that his men won't work for a madman, and as they take the confused criminal away, the Joker suggests dismembering him and feeding him to the dogs to see a hungry dog's loyalty. Finally, the Joker states that his actions are not about money, but to send a message. Meanwhile, an employee at Wayne Enterprises who discovered that Bruce is Batman by finding plans for the Batmobile is about to reveal his identity on national TV. Before he can, the Joker intervenes by calling the show. The Joker, wanting to prevent Reese from ruining his game, issues a new challenge. If Reese isn't dead within the next 60 minutes, he'll blow up a hospital. The police evacuate all nearby hospitals and rush to protect Reese, while an angry mob gathers outside the building wanting to take him down. As I mentioned, the Joker believes that moral values are merely a social facade hiding our true nature, which is animalistic and chaotic. His goal is to prove this. He wants to show that in reality, we all have an animal inside waiting to be unleashed. How does he try to prove it? There's a common idea that says a person's true character is revealed in how they act under extreme pressure. Based on this, the Joker designs intense desperation situations for both individuals and Batman, seeking to expose their darkest sides. A clear example of this idea is seen in the interrogation with Batman, when he claims that when things get ugly, people will eat each other alive. Throughout the movie, we've seen the Joker testing his theory. He successfully subverts Gotham's moral values. He turns the people against Reese by threatening to blow up a hospital, and makes the city see Batman as a villain by threatening to kill every day until he reveals his identity. At Gotham General Hospital, Harvey receives a visit from the Joker, disguised as a nurse. Harvey, full of resentment, blames the Joker for what happened to Rachel. The Joker responds that he's not a planner, but a dog chasing cars, someone who just acts. Unlike the mob and police who futilely try to control everything, he insists that what happened to Rachel wasn't personal, but a manipulation of others' plans. Seeing himself as an agent of chaos, the Joker claims that chaos is fair and hands Harvey a gun, but secretly controls the trigger. Shocked by the Joker's words, Harvey flips his coin to decide the Joker's fate, and the result spares the Joker. Afterward, the Joker leaves the hospital and detonates it in a brutal explosion. We just saw how the Joker manipulates Harvey into becoming an agent of chaos. Next, I'll examine how he achieves this. Harvey, who has fought tirelessly against corruption and crime, is emotionally and and morally devastated by Rachel's death, in which police corruption played a crucial role. The Joker exploits this vulnerability to manipulate Harvey's perception, using carefully chosen words that resonate with his feelings and emerging beliefs about the world. Initially, Harvey blames the Joker for Rachel's death, but his perspective changes over 3 key moments in their dialogue. First, the Joker begins by distancing himself from the police, claiming that he doesn't plan his actions, in contrast to the authorities who try to control everything and fail. With this, the Joker connects with Harvey's resentment towards the police for what happened to Rachel. Moreover, he changes Harvey's perception of him, presenting himself as a pure agent of chaos with no personal agenda. Then, the Joker explains that what happened to Rachel wasn't personal, but a consequence of the police's plans. With this, he shifts the blame from himself to the police's failed efforts to control a world that, according to him, is naturally chaotic. An idea Harvey begins to accept. Finally, the Joker argues that chaos is fair because it is impartial and has no prejudice, reinforcing this point with the coin test, which resonates with Harvey's frustration with the legal system's failures and corruption. At his most vulnerable, Harvey feels understood and validated by the Joker, transforming his view of the world into one that is cruel, corrupt, and chaotic, where attempts to impose order only make things worse. This is how the Joker manages to turn Harvey into an agent of chaos. However, all of this is just a strategy. Despite claiming not to plan, the Joker has meticulously orchestrated every action, from his prison escape to manipulating Rachel and Harvey's locations. We even saw that during the coin toss, he held the gun's hammer to ensure it wouldn't fire regardless of the result. Despite his rejection of the idea of control, the Joker seems to exercise control over chaos, leading me to the following idea about his psychology. More than just an agent of chaos, he appears to be deeply impregnated in it. His past is a mystery with conflicting stories about his life. However, his behavior suggests that he may have faced repeated and random traumas, which could have shaped his perception of the world as a chaotic and meaningless place. The Joker's internal chaos is reflected in the external chaos he creates. Someone who feels out of control internally may find satisfaction and comfort in making everyone around them share that feeling. By unleashing chaos and watching people act violently or desperately, the Joker can confirm his view of the world as inherently chaotic and malicious. Moreover, by creating chaos, the Joker might feel a sense of control, going from being a victim of chaos, as he may have been before, to becoming the one who directs it. In this way, for the Joker, life is a game where he manipulates events to illustrate his nihilistic worldview. He rationalizes his actions by believing that he doesn't cause disorder, as he tells Harvey that he didn't kill Rachel, maintaining that the world is as arbitrary and cruel as the experiences that shaped him. After blowing up the hospital, the Joker kidnaps 50 people and, using a prisoner, announces on television that he will take over the city that night. He warns that those who stay must follow his rules, and those who try to flee will face a surprise in bridges and tunnels. With bridges and tunnels blocked, thousands desperately try to leave the city, but the alternative routes are jammed. Only 2 ferries remain. The police plan to use one to evacuate the prisoners, fearing that the Joker will use them in his macabre games. Both ships, one with civilians and the other with prisoners, set sail but are loaded with explosives by the Joker, who announces through speakers a cruel social experiment. Each boat has the detonator for the other. They must decide who lives before midnight, or both will explode if no one presses the button. After the announcement, panic ensues. Batman finds the Joker in a building filled with clowns and hostages. After overcoming several obstacles, he confronts the Joker, who is flanked by 3 fierce dogs. Upon seeing Batman, the Joker releases his dogs and an intense fight begins. The figure of the dog appears repeatedly in the movie, particularly associated with the Joker. This is no coincidence, as dogs serve to illustrate his view of human morality. Dogs are often seen as symbols of unconditional loyalty, considered man's best friend. However, they can also show a wild and cruel side under certain circumstances, as depicted in the film. This duality reflects aspects of the human condition. Although people consider themselves moral and upright, they can behave brutally and impulsively when faced with situations of desperation and fear, similar to these animals. From this perspective, the Joker's words to the mobster, "Why don't you feed him to the dogs?" You'll see how loyal a hungry dog is, take on deeper meaning. Why not test humans? You'll see how firm their moral values are when they're desperate and afraid. Besides this, the Joker, who sticks his head out of the car window, describes himself as a dog who simply acts and ultimately unleashes his dogs against Batman, taking on the role of the alpha dog. The confrontations with Batman symbolize the film's central struggle. Batman, representing justice and morality, is literally and metaphorically hounded by these dogs, including the Joker, who embody brutality and savagery. It's the struggle between human primitive instincts and the facade of morality and righteousness that is maintained. As the alpha dog, the Joker tries to show that, like dogs alternate between kindness and aggression, humans under the right stress can abandon their apparent morality and descend into chaos and malevolence. On the civilian boat, the majority vote to activate the detonator, but the officer in charge cannot do it, recognizing that the prisoners have not yet detonated theirs. On the prisoner's boat, a burly man asks for the detonator, promising to do what no one else can. However, in a redemptive gesture, he throws it into the water. Seconds before midnight, the fight takes Batman and the Joker to a balcony, where the Joker overpowers Batman and invites him to witness the anticipated destruction of one of the boats. However, as the clock strikes 12, no boat has pressed the button. Batman throws blades from his suit, disarms the Joker, and throws him off the balcony, but saves him at the last moment and leaves him hanging for arrest. Batman asserts that the city has just shown its capacity to believe in good. However, the Joker, laughing sinisterly, suggests that this belief will fade when they discover the truth about Harvey Dent, whose spirit is irreparably broken. Batman and the Joker represent a duality in which each sustains the existence of the other, giving each other purpose. The Joker even said he didn't want to kill Batman because he completes him. This reminds me of the philosopher Alan Watts, who spoke about how we need an opposite to define and affirm our identity. According to Watts, our identity and morality are intrinsically tied to the existence of an other, an antagonist who not only reflects and defines our values and beliefs, but also gives us purpose and a reason for being. People who are considered kind need those they see as unkind to validate their goodness. In this sense, the Joker and Batman are reflections of each other in a constant cycle, where each defines and gives purpose to the other. Batman, the immovable object due to his unbreakable morality, faces the Joker, the unstoppable force due to the chaos he unleashes. The Joker turns out to be the perfect antagonist for Batman as he pushes the hero's morality and methods to the limit based on his commitment to never kill. This principle creates a perpetual conflict that paradoxically defines the identity and purpose of both. Each becomes terribly important to the other as each offers the other the opportunity to validate their own ideology. Batman faces challenges tough enough to reaffirm his identity as a protector who doesn't kill, while the Joker finds in Batman the perfect opportunity to try to corrupt the emblem of justice and righteousness he represents. Thus, an eternal conflict arises where there is no absolute winner, and where the destruction of one would mean the other's loss of direction. Harvey holds Gordon's son hostage at the place where Rachel died, blaming Gordon for the tragedy due to corruption in his team. Batman intervenes. Harvey claims that the world is cruel, and that the only justice in that cruelty is chance, impartial, and without prejudice, echoing the Joker's ideas. Then Harvey flips his coin to decide the fate of the three he blames. When it's Gordon's son's turn, Batman acts, pushing them toward a precipice. He saves the boy, but Harvey dies. Finding Harvey dead, Gordon believes the Joker has won and that the city will lose hope. However, Batman says that won't happen. He argues that the citizens must not know what Harvey did. Thus, they decide that Batman will take the blame for Harvey's crimes. Did the Joker win? At first glance, it seems so. He managed to corrupt Gotham's heroes and citizens. Harvey, who was a symbol of justice and hope, transformed into the vengeful Two-Face, and Batman seems to have broken his most important rule by pushing Harvey to his death. However, the Joker's supposed victory becomes more complicated when we observe the reactions of other characters. Despite destabilizing some, his chaotic acts also catalyze heroism and resistance in others. A clear example is the prisoner who throws the detonator into the water, and Batman who chooses to sacrifice himself for the greater good. The decision of the ferry passengers to act with compassion and unity, contrary to the Joker's nihilistic view, demonstrates that even in the worst circumstances, heroism can arise and human values can prevail. Therefore, we cannot let the Joker win in our world. While it's true that fear and desperation sometimes reveal dark aspects in some people, it's essential to resist and show that even in the darkest moments, our principles and values can shine. That's the kind of heroes the world needs. People who, facing adversity, choose the common good and demonstrate unbreakable and genuinely heroic character.